Batman knows it's hard living in the shadows. Among compact SUVs, a few names tower above the rest. But maybe it's time for the Chevy Equinox's day in the sun.
Without a doubt, this Equinox is better than the one that preceded it. It's more attractive, more refined, and amazingly, it's nearly 400 pounds lighter.
The benefits of that weight loss are immediately evident in the Equinox's composed, confident handling and a ride that's a little bit firm but still quite comfortable. And even though feedback through the steering wheel is virtually non-existent, modern drivers don't care about that, so we'll move on.
Chevy's engineers also did a great job keeping noise outside. That, along with pleasing road manners, makes the Equinox a superior choice for both long and short commutes. Powering the Chevrolet Equinox is an all-turbocharged 4-cylinder lineup, including a base 1.5-liter, a 2-liter, and a 1.6-liter diesel engine. Yes, a diesel. We'll get back to that in a second, but first, the gasoline engines.
The base 1.5-liter isn't particularly smooth, but it does generate decent thrust and fuel economy that's near the top of the category.
Buy a Honda CR-V and you'll match or exceed those figures, but nonetheless, where EPA fuel economy estimates are concerned, the Equinox is a strong player. Supporting that efficiency is an engine start-stop system that's inoffensive enough we've quietly made peace with the lack of an off button. While a 6-speed automatic is standard, the hardier 2-liter engine uses a 9-speed automatic. Fuel economy drops by several mpg versus the 1.5-liter, but if you want to leave the elementary school drop-off line with real authority, go with the 2-liter. Lastly, there's the Equinox Diesel, an absolute unicorn among compact SUVs. In familiar diesel fashion, horsepower is low, while torque is high. But the real news is fuel economy around 40 mpg on the highway. That is spectacular for the category. Whichever engine you choose, front-wheel drive is standard, with all-wheel drive a nearly $1,800 option. As a sport utility vehicle, functionality matters. In that regard, the Equinox succeeds. The center console is massive. This front bin is a convenient place to stow your phone that's also near optional USB ports or the optional wireless phone charger. Rear passengers can make use of optional USB ports as well, or a 120-volt outlet, and there's substantial head and legroom in all positions.
The rear seats don't slide, but they do recline. The floor is flat, which is a very nice thing for who's ever in the middle position. And look! Rear seat vents. You'd have to be some kind of monster not to include those for the ones you love. I'm looking at you, RAV4. The seats themselves are comfortable and supportive, though I will say for my mildly athletic body, there's a little bit of pressure here in the shoulder region and against my upper back here. Thankfully, the padding is soft enough it's not a major issue. This is weird, right?
If there's an overarching interior issue, it's style. Premium materials appear in critical locations, soft paint covers many of the hard plastics, and this perforated trim and stitching looks nice, but generally, the aesthetic feels plain versus, let's say, the Honda CR-V. And compared to the admittedly smaller Mazda CX-5, well, you be the judge.
Okay, 2 final complaints. The metallic trim around the gear shift reflects the sun into your eyes, which is not good when you're trying to see things. And just like in the Honda CR-V, your right knee rests against this close proximity hard plastic. Time to bust out the old mouse pad again. It's floppy. That got her.
At 29.9 cubic feet, space behind the rear seats lands on the small side of the category spectrum, and the hatch opening is slightly sloped versus the squared-off CR-V and RAV4. Even so, there's plenty of space to work with, supplemented by a sizable underfloor storage area, and dropping the rear seats can be done from the back of the vehicle with handy seat releases that are sadly not included on lower trims. The resulting load floor isn't quite flat, but darn close. Accessing the space demands a higher liftover than the previously mentioned RAV4 and CR-V, but on a brighter note, the available power hatch does include convenient height adjustability.
Compared to some of its competitors, visibility out of the Equinox is actually quite good, especially over your right shoulder, though the high dash does make it a little bit hard to tell where the nose of the car is. To that end, there is a 360-degree camera system that I cannot pull up. Ah, there it is! I have no excuse not to park within the lines. Let's see if I can do it. Do. Camera, you guide me. I'm not even looking outside of the car. I don't think the lawyers would like that. Right inside the lines. Kabam.
When not parking, the standard 7-inch or optional 8-inch screen can be used for infotainmenting, which is not a word. Though some members of the KBB editorial team think the interface looks dated, it's hard to argue with the system's usability. Clear icons, snappy response times, pain-free Bluetooth connectivity, and standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto make MyLink infotainment a pleasure to use, with a few caveats.
The screen is susceptible to fingerprint smudges, and at certain angles of the sun, it'll wash out. On a semi-related note, every time you start the car, it alerts you that the Wi-Fi is active with an annoying chime.
Keep things cheap, for about $24,500, including destination charges, you'll get a Chevrolet Equinox with 6 airbags, an electronic parking brake, 4G LTE Wi-Fi, though you'll need a subscription to exploit it, a backup camera, and one of our favorite features, push-button vehicle lock and engine start functionality. Do you have even fancier tastes? Then explore higher Equinox trims to enjoy HID headlights, heated outboard rear seats, leather upholstery, front seat memory, dual-zone climate control, embedded navigation, and a panoramic sunroof. Buy the most expensive Premier trim, and you can also add advanced safety and convenience technology, starting with Lane Keep Assist, which, unlike some of Chevrolet's previous efforts, keeps the Equinox in its lane with real finesse. There's also blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alerts, and a forward collision alert system that uses head-up lighting flashes and super effective seat vibrations to alert the driver. Strangely, adaptive cruise control, an increasingly common feature among the Equinox's competition, is not available. It's also worth mentioning that while mid-tier trims are well priced, the MSRP for a loaded Equinox Premier trim tops $37,000, a hefty sum among compact SUVs. Speaking of compact SUVs, the segment is overflowing with choices like the inviting and utterly functional Honda CR-V, the extremely popular Nissan Rogue, the RAV4, which is a Toyota, and the gorgeous and refined yet somehow still sporty Mazda CX-5. And that's just the tip of the SUV iceberg. With this many options, the question isn't really which one is best, but rather which is best for you.
I mean, some SUVs are better than others, but even in a jam-packed field, the Chevy Equinox is one of the best choices you can make.